I've been thinking about something recently, and it's been at the end of 2019, thinking about what kind of year I had, what kind of year I want to have going forward, and just kind of generally, what do you change about what you've done to, affect for positive, meaningful progress going forward. And one thing that I was thinking about is just the offshoot of what would I do in my life if I just got the opportunity to do things over. Like if I got a situation where I could go back and redo any point in time that I wanted, what would I do? And so I was just thinking about this hypothetical situation in my mind, and I think I would go back because 2019 was an awful year for me. It was the worst year of my life, easily. I started out 2019 sick, just a regular kind of cold thing, and that was fine. And then I developed an appendix and an appendectomy, but it was different than normal because I went to the hospital and they didn't do anything about it. They just sat me in a room for 8 hours. They didn't do anything about it, and then they gave me shit when I wanted to leave. And then finally, I left and I drove to the hospital where my parents live, 3.5 hours away, after already, sitting in a hospital for 8 hours waiting, to get my appendectomy treated. And then finally at 5 in the morning arriving to get my, appendix out to go into surgery. And so I was able to get my appendix out, but, I had a lot of trouble going through that. And then going on later through the year, a couple months down the road, I started having a ton of stomach problems that I just couldn't explain. I was having so many problems and so much pain. I was throwing everything up. I couldn't eat. I would wake up in the middle of the night panicking and shaking. Like for no reason, I would just wake up shaking. And from there, I would just have no idea what I to do and not be able to do anything about it. So I went to the ER a lot, and just back and forth with some places would find adequate treatment or find someone who would give a shit enough to be able to offer some sort of solution or some sort of medication or do something about it. A lot of places not really being able to do anything about it. And then going from there, I got an endoscopy because these problems just continued and continued and continued. And finally, my family, general practitioner, I guess is who it was just decided, you need to get a scope done because you're just having a lot of weird problems that nobody else can really explain. And I definitely, agreed with that. And so we went and got an endoscopy done, and they didn't find anything to be the problem. And so it's just something I have to keep an eye on. They give me certain medication to keep stomach acid down and do things to just kind of avoid stress levels. But that was really difficult. And then there were some fine times between then because I graduated from college not that long after that. And then going into the summer, I had my birthday, and on my birthday I got this weird fractured relationship with my sister. She came. I went to Yellowstone with my parents, and we drove to and from Yellowstone in an RV. And on the way home, we picked up my sister, who lived in Colorado, and she came back to visit for a little while. And she really just was unpleasant the entire time. She was picking fights with all of the family members. She was real combative. Just really difficult to get along with, just fighting with everybody for any reason, for no reason at all, often. And finally on my birthday it just came to a head with me, and she was just picking a fight with, I was talking to my mom, and she would come into the room and just start picking fights with what I was saying and talking about what I was saying was ridiculous and how it was wrong and stupid. And we were talking about things like me getting a haircut, and she was just picking fights and being difficult. And finally I left my parents' house and I drove back to where I lived on my birthday. So it's been a 3.5 hour car ride alone on my birthday, and then hanging out at my place just kind of alone, and that was really frustrating. I actually got these timeline in the events wrong because I got hit by a car before my fractured relationship with my sibling, wasn't it? I got hit by a car before having a fractured relationship with my sister. So I was, because I was still in school. I was leaving school one day and I just got stuck behind this guy at a stop sign that just started going fucking crazy. And I got out of my car and like put like my hands up and he fucking ran me over. Went to the hospital for that. I'm a good for nothing lawyer. And then I had a fractured relationship with my sibling. And then I with another sibling owns a business, and I started working for this other sibling, and we've had a bunch of problems, stressors added to the relationship and to the family because of just working at the company and her needing extra help, and the difference between needing personal help and needing professional help from my family. And it was just being very uncomfortable, just adding a lot of extra stress to situations. And so often when I think about, like, there was a lot of thought, especially because 2020, a new decade, a new not just a new year, but a whole brand new opportunity of what's out there. And so I was just thinking about what was 2019, what was this last decade, and it was hard for me not to think about just like fantasizing about restarting. And then I think about when would I restart to? When would I go back to? And I think I would go back to like my junior year of high school, because that's really an opportunity I have to really just roll the dice completely over again from the beginning, because that's when you really start. That's the only year of high school that matters, because that's when you apply to colleges. That's when you have the opportunity to boost your GPA, so to say, like your high school GPA, right? It's not that big of a deal, depending on obviously like where you want to go to college. If your goal is just to go to a state school kind of level of education, like any university of whatever state, if that's your goal, you can turn around like if you're someone who doesn't care about high school, you can turn that around your junior year and go to any insert university of state or state of whatever. You can go to any school like that if you want to. And so I didn't necessarily go. I would have gone to a bigger state school. I went to. Here's the mistake I made. I went to University of State at somewhere at city. You know what I mean? I went to the not biggest campus. And if I would go back in time, I would go back to the main state school, the bigger school. I think that would have been a better choice to go bigger. I think it would have been, you meet more people. And the annoying thing that I think I found about my school was that it wasn't big enough for you to walk into a class of 100 people and not know anybody. You would walk into that class and it was a little bit like a high school experience, being like, oh, I know these people, don't know these people. Yeah, these people seem fine to sit next to. And so I was a little bit, I don't know if I would say disappointed, but I think, yeah, I mean, I was, a little underappreciative, a little disappointed, I think, in my college education. I think just a big wish I had gone to the bigger school. And, also, if you think about, like, what is your junior year of high school outside of your school responsibilities for, everyone, at least who I knew. So I guess I'm assuming everyone, in America, you have a car, you have a girlfriend, and you got friends to play video games with, right? So that was like the coolest point in time where you go to school, you worry about that for whatever, then you drive to wherever, get some food with some friends, drive to wherever, hang out with your girlfriend or whatever, do 10 minutes of homework, play some video games, hop on Skype and play some video games or whatever. And so it just really it's like a tempting kind of situation, because it really makes me think about what I would have done differently. And I think a lot of it had to do with just going to a smaller school. My university was 2,000 people. It is 12,000 people. I was off by just a little bit, but I think it was a small enough place where there were like a small community, in the sense that small communities build shelters because small communities are stronger. They make their strength in their smallness, and it's like an ant has a lot of strength in because he's small. He's able to lift 500 times his body weight because his body weight is so little, or whatever the number is. But yeah, so that's just kind of there's no limerick, there's no point to what I was saying. I guess there was just some things that I've been thinking about recently, and I kind of just wanted to share them in video form. Maybe that they're entertaining, maybe that there's something that you can learn from it, maybe there's something you could share with me, maybe there's something I'm missing. But thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. If you're interested in checking out live streams on Twitch, you can find that link in the description below. I appreciate you guys coming in and staying this far, if you made it this far. So maybe you could like and subscribe for more of these if you enjoyed it. See you later.